Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gymaholic podcast, new form of content on my channel. Besides usual content on my native language, from time to time you can also expect to see this form of education. Basically, my idea is just to spread the word, spread the knowledge, and bringing the value on this channel through the people who are, in my humble opinion, one of the wisest individuals in the industry. I'll give my best in these conversations where I have opportunity to pick up their brain for a fragment of time to bring the value and also to upgrade my personal knowledge as a coach. This is as you can see from the title pilot episode of this podcast. I had opportunity to meet Borge Fagerli on Cliff Wilson seminar in Greece, and also I had pleasure to record this short video. Borge is one of the pioneers in the industry, and I've been following him for many years. Many of you are maybe familiar with MyoReps and Effective Reps model, and for that, full credit goes to Borge. And without further ado, let's go on.
Hello, Borge. First of all, I'm very glad to meet you. I've been following you for many years, and now we are in Greece for Cliff Wilson seminar. And I wanted to have a little chat with you about reps and effective reps. I find that idea very valuable and very interesting. And let's go on if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I developed my reps and the effective reps model around 2005. I just looked at more unit recruitment, fiber recruitment levels, and you could see that with heavy loads, like there's three ways to activate all muscle fibers in the muscle. So if you look at the muscle like a range of different types of fibers. You have the weaker, slow twitch, but they're also the more endurance oriented. Then you have the strongest type 2 fibers that are also more explosive and they don't last very long. And the brain will always use whatever muscle fibers are the best for the job. So there are three ways to activate all muscle fibers in the muscle. If you lift a very heavy load, then all of the fibers must be called upon to lift the weight. If you're using a really light load, but you're explosively lifting it, so you have to move it really fast, then during that short acceleration phase, you will also recruit all the muscle fibers. The third one, which is where the effective reps model comes in, is if you're lifting a lighter load, but you're getting fatigued, then first you will only be using, will be cycling between the weaker and the stronger. So at first you only use the weaker, but as you begin to fatigue, now you need to use the stronger muscle fibers as well. So the fatigued are beginning to drop out, and you begin to call upon the stronger muscle fibers. And you have to activate all of the muscle fibers, and they need to experience tension. Tension, which is just the pulling on the meat, basically. The muscle is just a dumb piece of meat that is put mechanical tension on, deforming it according to the load you're lifting and how fatigued you are. That's basically the whole model. And to get maximum mechanical tension on the muscle, because that's the signal for triggering muscle growth. People are talking about overload all the time, but it's not actually overload. You're not loading more than the tissue can tolerate. You're just loading it, you know? And that stimulates muscle growth and allows the muscle to grow stronger so that you can add more load to it. So it's kind of opposite to what most people think. That you need to add loads in order to get the muscle to grow, but what you're actually doing is just loading to the capacity of the tissue, of the muscle, and that triggers growth and allows you to lift more weight. And if you just keep lifting the same weight, then eventually it's going to be lighter and lighter and lighter, so it's not going to stimulate muscle growth anymore. It will be below the capacity of the bigger muscle. And this is surprisingly been like a debate, at least recently, that whether the effective reps model is valid or not. And to me, in my mind, it's just, well, if you're a beginner, if on certain exercises, whatever is going on, because it's not like a linear relationship. It's more like whatever is needed to lift that weight in that exercise. And that can differ between individuals, between muscle groups, how quickly you're lifting, and how well trained that person is. So what we know from research and just observation is that people who are really untrained, they can grow muscle just by riding a bike or walking on a treadmill or lifting the pink dumbbells, you know. It takes very little because their capacity is so low, their sensitivity to training is so low. It's like someone with white skin going to Greece, you know, they're going to get sunburned easily. So it doesn't take much sunlight or duration of sunlight to get a response, you know, to get an adaptive response. And so whenever people say, well, here are all of the exceptions to say that that proves the model is wrong, then to me that just tells me they don't understand the model. They don't have a model to understand muscle growth from. Because yes, if you have a rigid model that says, well, only the final reps of a set will stimulate muscle growth without accounting for training status or different muscle groups or whatever else is affecting that, lifting a weight really, really fast. So the velocity loss studies that they're using to say, well, this shows that the effective reps model isn't working. Well, in that exact study, they were less well-trained than other studies showing the opposite result. And they were lifting the weight so rapidly that some had to drop out of the study because they got knee pain. And they were also just using isolation exercises, which, you know, increases the muscle recruitment level. So nothing disproves the model and everything proves it. So it's at this point the most proven model in the whole hypertrophy world, to me, in my experience. So it's just non-debatable, but people want to argue the nuances, and it's more like it's not a hard model that looks the same for everyone all the time. It's more like the angle of the slope will differ depending on the person, the muscle group, the exercise, whatever. But regardless of all of that, we can say with 100% certainty, to get a muscle to grow, you either need to lift a sufficiently heavy load or use a lighter load but lift sufficiently close to failure. Those are non-negotiable. You cannot tell me that you can take a 20 rep max load and do sets of 1 with that. You could do 100 sets of 1 and it's not going to grow muscle unless you're very untrained. So that's kind of where I stand on that issue, and that model also is the foundation of the MyReps training tool, where you just, on lighter loads, medium to light loads, you go closer to failure so that you get high activation, which is why I call it an activation set. You take a short rest so that you're able to do more reps, but not rest so long that activation levels drop. So then now you're just balancing in that effective rep zone and kind of extending the set. That would normally be one set with the last few reps of the set being the most stimulatory to muscle growth. Rest for 2 to 5 minutes, repeat the same thing, and having to do a lot of, not wasted, but you have to do a few reps to get to that proximity to failure, that fatigue level where you're stimulating muscle growth. So now you're just compressing that into a single extended set. And that's, again, what research is showing. a single MyRep set is approximately equal to 3 to 4, maybe up to 5 sets, depending on how long you can extend it for, whether you're good at balancing fatigue, managing fatigue. And that's also the main differentiator between typical rest-pause training, which is going to failure, short rest, go to failure, short rest, go to failure. That's very fatiguing, very hard to recover from. MyReps is just managing fatigue to get the effective reps, stimulating muscle growth, recover faster so you can do it again. And that's the summary.
Thank you so much, Borge, for this conversation. I really enjoyed. Thank you for your time. Nice to meet you, and see you again.